I kick it how I wanna kick it when I wanna kick it. And you can't tell me not to kick it, cause I'm about to kick it. So I'm letting it all out. And something in Korean. Something in Korean.
What?
It's a song by Blackpink, and half their songs are in English and half of their songs are in Korean, and I don't know any of the Korean parts.
No, I get that. That reminds me of back when Colbert had his rivalry with Rain, and he released his hit single "I'm Singing in Korean." But that was a long time ago. Things were so quaint and simple back then.
Yeah.
Oh, look, it's a K-pop star, and Colbert pretends that he hates him. Our president is a Democrat.
Yep. Welcome to RPG Book Club, the podcast where we play a little bit of a video game and talk about how it makes us feel. I am Sam Allman.
And I'm Maddie Webber.
And Eli is taking the whole week off because BlizzCon kicked his ass. It kicks everybody who works for Blizzard's ass, like, every year. So I don't blame him at all.
Yeah, I know full well from you and from Eli and from friend of the show, Bernard, I know full well how much BlizzCon just is a fucking nightmare for everybody involved.
Yeah. Like, it's so cool because, like, we all get hyped, but it's like the moment the opening ceremonies are over, everybody just calls in and either wants to complain about something they saw or wants to buy a thing they saw and they can't buy it yet, or something along those lines.
A fucking beta invitation to something.
Yep, that happens all the time. And
Bernard has shared with me. He's like, yeah, sometimes for a whole month, my whole job is just telling people, no, I can't get you a beta invite.
Yeah, because when Bernard was there, that was the Overwatch beta, which literally every ticket was just, all right, look, I'm a streamer and it's really big. I have 7 followers and they're all from Indonesia. I have a great audience that needs to tap into Overwatch. Give me a free copy of Overwatch.
That's so fucking funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, they announced Overwatch 2 and shit. Are you personally excited about Overwatch and/or I don't know? Do you got any Diablo fans in the house?
I really like the world of Overwatch, and I really like all of the characters of Overwatch, but you can't tell a story with just backstory, so I've never been, like, into Overwatch as it is.
Yeah, but the fact that there's so much fandom around it is weird. I'm like, it's a competitive shooter. I don't get it. They don't do story.
Yeah.
They just have things about how there's a story, but then they just shoot each other in an arena. It doesn't make any sense. The only time that's ever been done is Red versus Blue.
Yeah. and even then, they found so much plot in Red versus Blue that it became a whole gigantic thing.
Yeah. I don't get how you can be.
Yeah. And so,
it's not that I'm not saying that people are wrong. I'm saying I don't connect with that. I don't understand how a game where the actual game is just shooting at each other, how you can get so invested in the world and characters. That's weird to me. It's a logical disconnect.
Yeah, and so it's like all of the stuff we've gotten from Overwatch so far has all been prequel because that's the only way you can do it. And now, supposedly, Overwatch 2 is going to move the story forward and actually talk about the stuff that they are alluding to all the time. But it's going to be 4-player co-op required story missions and not single-player story missions. Because, this is a thing that I always thought while I worked there, and I didn't want to say anything because Overwatch 2 could have had a story thing, and I didn't want to come up with an idea that sounded like I was breaking an NDA, but this is now not the thing. So this is just
you wrote the NDA. No, I was just saying what would be a reasonable, logical thing to do, and turns out I was right.
Yeah. So now that I'm wrong, what I would do is every character has their own unique abilities. Imagine a single player level with level design built around those abilities. So, like, Tracer can Prince of Persia backwards and also teleport shortly forward. So imagine,
that shit would rule.
Crazy, stupid platforming stuff where, like, the only way to do it would be to, like, like jump off a cliff to press a button to open a gate and then rewind yourself back to safety type thing. Like stupid shit like that for all 30 fucking characters. Like just give me 30.
And that would double as a tutorial of how to effectively use the characters.
Exactly. Like it seemed so obvious, and then here we are where it's 4-player co-op, so I'm still not going to do it because I don't even have 4 friends, and I'm not going to play with
but Sam,
random
you're
people.
forgetting that bespoke and thoughtful level design is a lot harder than a cool arena where you and your 3 buddies shoot a bunch of bad guys for a while.
Yeah. But
so there's that.
Supposedly the event that they did that was kind of like this, where it was like a linear level that you worked through with your friends, everybody really liked. So I'm sure that it'll be good. It's like a linear horde mode type thing where it's like, oh, there's a bunch of waves and we have to get over to the end type thing. Yeah. It's like a moving horde mode, and a lot of people liked that. So hopefully it's good, but I probably will just look up the cutscenes as I have done. But so Eli's at BlizzCon, so it's just the two of us for both today and our Halo shortcast. We're finally recording that tomorrow.
Hell yes.
So Eli will probably be back for the second part of Halo shortcast, but he also didn't seem excited to play Halo, so he might not be back at all, which is fine.
But I know he'll like it.
I know. I hope he at least watches it, and because the Gamers Little Playground movie, I rewatched it this week because I didn't have time to play, and it's so good. Like they are doing the Lord's work, and by the Lord I of course mean Yevon because it's all video games.
the precursors work.
Yes.
Whatever the fuck. Whatever. Who cares?
Yeah. But so we wasted 15 minutes talking about politics instead of our week, and I don't even remember what I did this week. I swear we recorded yesterday type thing. So
all I did in the last week was have like 4 days worth of extreme anxiety over a crisis that I encountered. And what's more exciting is my next week. I'm going to be going on dates for like 3 straight days, and then Death Stranding comes out.
Nice.
I got to get all the dates out of the way before that.
Yeah. Also, if the people listening are the type that like to spoil games for themselves, every new Pokemon basically has leaked, and
I saw that.
And everyone is all about it. I have decided that I don't even want to know. Like, I don't even, if they do a launch trailer, I'm not watching it. Like, I want to go in, because like back in Gen 5, not only did I play it, like Gen 5 by itself doesn't have returning Pokemon until after the Elite Four, which is awesome, and it was definitely them.
Really? I thought.
No.
Yeah. Sorry, you're right. That's Gen 5 that does that. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's awesome. And so not only
so cool.
did they do that, I was also playing it in Japanese, so I hadn't ever even seen a commercial for it because there were no Nintendo Directs for it yet. Because that was back when it was like a 1.5 cadence for localization. So it was amazing, and every time I got into a Pokemon battle, I was like, oh, I wonder what this motherfucker's going to be. And it was super cool, and I wanted to do that again. So I've decided to not look up anything else. So
yeah, ever since Gen 6, I've started doing that too, where basically, I mean, I don't strictly avoid things. I don't really care that much. I'll watch the fucking trailer. Mm-hmm. But I won't like look at the Pokedex or anything like that. So and the thing is, I also haven't played more than 2 or 3 gyms worth of a Pokemon game since then. Mm-hmm. So I don't know a lot of the new Pokemon, but like I love the discovery of figuring them out for yourself is one of the fun parts, right? You meet the new Pokemon, you say, ooh, that thing's cool, I want to catch it, and then you catch it and you get to know it, you decide that it's good, you put it in your heart, you decide that it sucks and you don't, you know. So yeah, if a Pokemon shows up past Gym 3 of Gen 6 or past Island 3 or so of Sun and Moon, I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
And I'll find out eventually.
Yeah, and when they announced,
I also don't know what the starters evolutions look like even.
Yeah, they haven't announced that, which is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's the main thing. It's okay. I do not have a child, and it's funny me saying this with you also on the podcast because you do have a child. But it's like, I'm excited to see what happens when my boy grows up.
Yeah,
you know what
exactly.
I mean?
Yeah. So when they announced Pokexit back in the day, I first off was like, thank God. But then I'm one of the few people that said that was a good idea and it needed to happen. But I also was like, I wonder what they'll settle on, because the last time there was a Pokexit that people always forget about was in
Gen 3.
Gen 3, and they cut it down to 160 out of the available 300 or so.
Which is a very sharp cut.
Yeah. And so I was like, are they going to cut it all the way down, or what are they going to land on? And then I started playing Hacker's Memory, which has 360 Digimon in it. And I imported my save from the first game, so I had my Pokedex mostly Pokedex. It's called a Digimon Field Guide. It's a goddamn Pokedex. So my Pokedex was mostly filled out.
It's a Digidex.
It was mostly filled out, and I still am not even close. And it's a real good number where I feel like I have a handle on everything, but these last ones I'm having to search for, which is
it's funny,
really cool.
I was about to say, if I had to guess for Sword Shield, I honestly would guess maybe 400 or so.
It's 400.
That just seems like they actually said that?
Yeah, that was part of the leaks. I looked up, my friend dove straight into the leaks, and he was like, I hate that you don't want to know any leaks because I'm so hyped right now. And I'm like, I don't care about mechanics. I just don't want to know any Pokemon. So you can tell me numbers and stuff like that. And so he said that the main legendaries are the third of the box legendaries number is 400. So there's exactly 400 in there.
Nice. That's funny, because I was literally going to say 400 seems like around the perfect number, and I was right.
Yeah.
It turns out Game Freak agrees.
Yeah.
It's just that is an intimidating fucking number, and anyone who wants to go for it, it'll take them a long damn time, but it's also not insane.
Yeah.
In fact, 400 was about the number that there were when Heart Gold Soul Silver came out. I think that was more like 470.
Yeah.
And that was the only time in my life I've attempted to catch them all, because that seemed like a not intimidating, a not impossible number.
Yeah.
And I think I've said this on the pod before, but I would have done it if somebody hadn't stolen my DS and the video game.
Yeah. I got a Living Dex back in Diamond. I should have waited for Heart Gold Soul Silver to come out, but I was stupid. And so before Heart Gold Soul Silver, you all know how you got Johto Pokemon? By beating Emerald 3 times, because they gave you a Johto starter at the end of Emerald. Which is stupid.
Well, that's the other reason why Heart Gold Soul Silver, I finally decided to go for it, because everyone online was like, they're like, oh my god, this game makes it so fucking easy. It was almost cheating how easy it was. And Heart Gold Soul Silver, once you get over to Kanto, they're like, here's a Gen 1 starter. Here's a Gen 2 starter. Here's a Gen 3 starter. Here's a Gen 4 starter. Here's a rare whatever. Oh, you want a mystery gift for basically all the weird legendaries? We're doing one every month. It's like we're basically giving them away.
Yeah. And so, my Living Dex before Heart Gold Soul Silver came out is my definite gaming war story. Even more than 1,000 gamer scoring Assassin's Creed 1 and 2.
If I had actually not had my game stolen and had done it for Heart Gold Soul Silver, it probably would have taken me, maybe a third the amount of time it took you, a fourth the amount of time it took you.
I maxed out my game clock on Diamond.
Yeah. I was already 2/3 of the way there and was only at 150 hours or something.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, but... Anywho, let's listen to some this week we'll be listening to 2 variations of the same good-ass pop song that we get to hear this week, because I loved the cheesy, it was, by the time this game came out, it was already 20 years outdated pop song that they play, and I was like,
it was already a total cheesy trope.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, I love this because it's cheesy, and then the next scene they play it on the fucking guitar, and I'm like, oh no, this is actually magnificent. So yeah, we'll listen to both of those today. So you'll hear the original right now, and then we will talk about our game.
When you touch me, it feels just like a dream, with the warmth that's in your eyes when you look at me. I hear your voice beside me, it whispers to me, can't hide how it makes me feel, the shyness you see. I may never understand how deep it goes.
All right, so where we last left our heroes is Kayam and everybody died. So there was a Cold War, literally, and then it wasn't cold metaphorically very long, and
it was cold metaphorically for the length of one cutscene.
Yes. And then it got real darn cold, and Kayam and Sarah saved the kids by killing themselves. And so when we start this week, we follow Tolton and Seth in Ura, like, because Tolton had been teleported away, and Seth was like, "Oh no, you don't," and jumped after him, and they both pop up in like on the streets of Ura, and it's like bizarre how it happens because like they land there, and just now, like 10 minutes ago, Gongora was like, "King Tolton's dead, and you guys didn't see it. It happened off screen. Sorry." And so then King Tolton shows up, and the guards already are like, "Well, you must be an imposter because King Tolton is dead. Why would Gongora lie to us?" Instead of just like, "Oh shit, let's go start a civil war or something," is what I would think would happen. Like, "Oh, we are loyal to you, and we were just told you died. Obviously, this guy's bad. We should do a bad thing." But no. Guards are dumb. So, Seth then...
Hot take. Cops are dumb.
Cops are dumb.
And so are troops.
Yeah, fuck them both. So, Seth is like, "Well, Tolton, I did jump after you to kill you myself, but obviously you are just a victim of Gongora as well right now, so I'll help you fight some fights, and then we will go on our merry way." And Tolton's like, where are we even going? And Seth is like, "Well, you said that my son said is here in the city, like you captured him, so we're going to go bust him out because why not? And we're gonna try and fuck up Gongora's plan, and we're going to use my son to help, and everything will be fine." And so then we get a city dungeon, which is really cool because you get to go in and out of the city. And you get to visit like the top floors that were locked off of places you visited before, and it's really cool.
Yeah, you go in this upstairs. So you go in this upstairs door in like a top balcony, and the symbol on your map says that it's an inn, and you're like, "Oh, good, there's an inn." And then you go in there, and you go down, and you're on the top floor of an inn. You go downstairs, and then you're like, "Oh, this is the same inn I was in at the beginning of the game.
Yeah.
I just came in through a different door." That's cute.
Yeah.
Fun fact, I think I bitched before about how I don't really like Ura very much. It's the first town in the game. It's slow. The music's boring. It's too brown. I love this part of the game. I think Ura is a lot better as a set piece than it is as like an actual town.
I wish it would have had urgent music instead of the same town music in it, but Nobuo obviously
Part of me likes it. It's just like
he obviously ran out of time, so he couldn't write 2 Ura themes.
Yeah, but we say it every week, but it really is strange how 2 whole discs worth of music, which used to be plenty back in say FF6 times, was like not enough for this game.
Yeah.
It feels like a very meager soundtrack.
Yeah, but I was tired of this music, so I turned on my Xbox 360 custom soundtrack, which was all mixtapes that I had ripped back when I was 14 years old, and whoo boy, was that a blast from the past. I have the entirety of Blink-182's Dude Ranch, and then I have most of Blink-182's Enema of the State, and then I have a bunch of random songs that I had tagged Kia, which was my high school girlfriend's name. And so there's all random love songs. And then also a whole Bloodhound Gang album on there. And so it was the most random assortment of songs. But serendipitously, I got into a battle right as Real Big Fish's version of Take On Me started, and it lined up perfectly with the battle. So, like...
Yeah. You should link the YouTube video in this episode description.
It's amazing.
Watch. It's like... I can't imagine it being better. It was so good.
It was perfect.
And it kind of fits the mood because in this part of the game, you were sharing something differently than this earlier, but I guess you hadn't leveled Seth as much as I had. For me, this part of the game, in fact, this entire section, this entire like party split part of the game was just like, with one exception, was just like bonkers easy.
Yeah, it was.
And I think the game is like,
easy.
and I kind of love. I think it's on purpose. The game is like, look. You don't have full control over your party. You don't really have control over your strategic options. You may not have leveled up these characters in the past. We don't want you to get stuck. We'll just make it all really easy.
Yeah.
And what I like is that you're like, okay, so for the next 10 hours or so, I'm not going to have to worry about RPG shit until the whole gang gets back together, and then the game's going to start again.
Yeah.
And that's fun. It's like takes the load off your shoulders. Without spoiling too much, the post game of Dragon Quest XI does something similar.
Nice.
Something happens with your party where they're not up to fighting potential, and I'm like, this isn't annoying. This is great. I hope this section of the game goes on as long as possible, so I can just enjoy the story without having to worry about battles. Because as soon as this stops happening, I'm gonna have to start using my brain again.
Yeah, it's good. So. Yeah, we make our way all the way through that dungeon, and we get to we get to a big promenade that has a quote-unquote giant crowd in it, but they didn't use the power of the Microsoft Xbox 360 video game console to show that there was a giant crowd. It is 3 lines of people, so it's like 15 people tops. Yep. And that was it.
This game is funny because it's still an early enough 360 game where it's like, yeah, they're not, it's not Mass Effect.
Yeah.
It's not, they're not able to do this crazy technology yet. Especially because there's a Japanese developer who were like, we've never used the Unreal Engine before.
Yeah. It was ridiculous. But, because it was one of those things where, like, if you walk the wrong way, the thing Seth says is like, no, we need to stick to the crowd so we'll blend in. I'm like, this is a crowd?
This game is like, if all you've ever played is JRPGs, playing this game when it came out would blow your goddamn mind.
Exactly.
But if you've played any other genre of video game, it would be like the exact opposite. You'd be like, what is this archaic, like simplistic technology game?
Yeah. Speaking of crowds, in JRPGs, you haven't played Kingdom Hearts 3 yet, right?
Nope.
Okay. Did you see anything from Twilight Town and how it looks in HD?
It looks incredible.
Yeah, there's crowds. There's every street corner has like people hanging out. There's people all over my goddamn Kingdom Hearts, and it's weird because one of the big jokes from Birth by Sleep is Hercules is like, listen to the roar of the crowd, and it cuts to the stands that are empty because they couldn't afford NPCs.
Honestly, one of my legitimate issues, I know it's a technology thing, but whatever. You got to make games with your technological limitations in mind. And one thing that's always bugging about Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2 is that the worlds are all just
empty,
completely lifeless, fake shoeboxes, to quote what Tim Rogers calls them. And yeah, so the idea of it actually being a world that actually exists, it isn't just some weird box with wallpaper over it that you hit Heartless in and just like, oh, that's a big improvement.
Yeah, it's crazy. Kingdom Hearts 3 is so good. I should replay it. But anywho, back to Lost Odyssey. So we make our way through that crowd, and then we look up to the giant TV screen, and Gongora's drinking blood because it's normal.
And not even just drinking it. The blood is levitating out of like a giant chalice into his gullet. He's just going like drinking a stream of blood.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. And so Seth is like, that's disgusting. And Tolton's like, no, that's how everybody becomes king. Wait, shit, he's trying to become king.
Yeah. I'm like, that's normal. What a fucked up, weird, creepy thing. And then Tolton is just upset about the political implications of it.
Yeah, he's like, he's doing the blood drinking thing again. So then, meanwhile, while he's doing that, he decides to make a casual blood sacrifice of all of the prisoners that they have, including Ced. And he just, he's just sitting there chilling live on TV, brings up a whole elevator with these people sitting in a kiddie pool, fills that kiddie pool with oil, starts to light a match, and everyone's just like, our new king is so great. Look at him go.
Yeah, everyone in the crowd is just like, hell yeah, a new king. And I'm like, how are you all just like down with this? It's like they got, the king was just like, hey, let's just do crazy cult of personality fascism, and everyone's just like,
okay. Yeah, and so so we're like, well, we're gonna stop them, but I don't know how. We need to figure out a way to get up there. So we cut to a meanwhile, and the Goatsons are standing in a very militaristic fashion. Reminds me of the First Order.
In a giant underground cave.
Yeah, and they're just like, let's go fuck up Ura because of what they did to us.
And to be clear, we don't know who these people are or why they're in a cave.
Yeah.
And someone says something like, this is the extra Uran regiment hidden in the secret cave that Ura didn't know about that exists specifically in the event that Ura gets that Gotsa gets like totally fucking nuked.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, okay.
Yeah, which is what the King Gotsa was saying at the right before he got offed, was like, oh, let's do our contingency plan. And so we see what that is, and it's robots. It's these drill, cool ass looking. They look like. Have you ever seen a it's a bow and arrow, but it's the arrows for like pig hunting instead of deer hunting?
Oh yeah, that is what it's like.
Yeah, they're like the big, like triangular looking ass drill bit things, and so they have those, and they just start drilling a hole through the ceiling. So we cut back to Seth and Tolton, and the place gets fucking rocked, and out comes all of these robots, and they shoot harpoons up to the top where Gongora is. And then what's cool is all of the troops have like a Bioshock Infinite on their head, so they can just jump up onto the harpoon and then ride it up. And I'm like, that's a cool way to use magic tech in an RPG. Yeah. Like, that shit was super awesome.
And what I especially like is that, like, it seems to me that their technology was almost explicitly designed to be used in the city of Ura.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Which, like, is believable. It's like, no, yeah, this is their this isn't like, oh, we just happen to have these grapple head helmets lying around. Mm-hmm. It's like, no, this is our Ura invasion equipment.
Yeah. And it's hella good. And so Seth and Tolton are like, well, that's how we'll get up there to go and stop them. And so we climb up the harpoons as well. And then in one of my favorite bits is our whole reason we split up the party was try to prevent war. And so war is currently happening, and we're mad at both sides. So in all of the random mob fights you get in here, there's Uran soldiers and Gotsan soldiers, and they're fighting both you and each other, and you kill both sides to win because you don't want anyone to fight. And so you're like, no, stop it. Since you're fighting, I'm going to have to kill both of you. And you don't, it's not like, oh, the Gothans showed up and now we have backup. It's like, no, they showed up and we're using the situation so we can get at Gongora, but we're not like pro Gotsa right now.
Yeah.
Which is really cool.
It's really cool. I love it. I love it. Like, just complete war just fucking broke out overnight, and it's crazy. And I think they really sell that this is a bad thing. This is not the awesome Goatsons showing up. It's like, oh fuck, now there's a war on. That's bad. But it is a little funny that you just kill them. It would make a little more sense if it's like the two parties are fighting and we're going to go around them.
Yeah.
Even a single line of dialogue where like, maybe they both want to kill you because the Goatsons think that you're a traitor to Gotsa, and the Urans see Tolton, you know?
Yeah.
So they decide so then you have to kill them.
That's kind of been there, because in Gotsa, every single person called you an Uran spy, and you are obviously have the king of Ura on your part, so the Urans want to kill you. So it makes a little sense why they're both attacking, but I would have loved a, like, instead of random battles, if it was like, don't walk in between them two fighting, because then you'll get in a battle and you'll be wrapped up into it.
The three-way fight concept is fucking awesome and so cool, but it is like, when you think about it for a second, you're like, wait, so how come when they get in this battle, the immediate thing that Seth does is like, cool, let's kill all of them?
Yes. But gameplay, it's really cool too, because you don't want to, like, because it's common in a RPG when you're like, all right, it's just a random battle. I'm going to kill whatever's at the top of the list and then make my way down the list.
Yeah, you just make your way downtown.
If you do it that way, then you'll have the really strong Goatsons all attacking you instead of having any Urins to attack. So you want to do like one of each to whittle them down so that you don't get wrecked. Sorry, my mouth died. But yeah, it's really cool. And so then we finally get up to the place, and we see said, one part I missed, probably should go memorable moments, but it's still awesome, is when Gongora is about to burn everybody alive. Said is just like staring him down, like, you motherfucker, you killed my mom, you took my leg, you are the asshole here. I'm mad at you. I know what you're doing. You're just getting rid of me. And it's this really cool silent moment. And
it's neat because it's because everyone else is just screaming like, we're all gonna die, and he's just stoically just fucking dead-eye staring the villain. And of course the villain doesn't know who this is. The villain doesn't know who this is. It's just like a random old guy. But that's cool. Like, imagine you're Gongora, you're reveling in your power, you're being an evil villain, and just this random old guy is just like, fuck you. Like, I am defiantly staring you down, and it like gets to him. Like, you can tell Gongora's like, ugh.
Yeah, and it does a lot to sell Ced's character as like a hard ass Cid, like right away, which is
spoiler alert for 5 minutes from now. Ced is fucking amazing. He fucking rules.
And it was important that I gave you that part, because the next scene then already contrasts that, because Seth runs up to the oil and she shouts for Ced, and he turns around and he instantly like breaks down into a puddle and he cries out for his mommy, and he runs over, and Seth just holds him, and it's brilliant. It's so fucking good. This game is amazing. This is the first time I actually cried at this game. Like, I felt the moment at the funeral, and I felt the moment at the end of the Crimson Forest, and I felt the moment last week when Sarah saved the kids. But this is this fucking got me.
This game just turned its tone on a fucking dime. Also, like, seeing a super old man yelling "Mama" is just so cool.
Oh, it's so good, man.
There's something more specific here about Uematsu's music, but I'll bring that up in memorable moments later.
But so we all decide to get the fuck out of Dodge and get away from all of the fighting, and we cut to Gongora, who is like, get me the fuck out of here, teleport me into Grandstaff. I'm going to press the big red button, as it were, and he launches giant monsters down onto the castle, and they start to blow everything up. They remind me of the destroyer robot from the first Thor. Like,
oh yeah. Also, they're monsters that you didn't see this cutscene because it was optional, but I told you about it. They're monsters that all look weirdly familiar, and then you remember, oh, these look just like that giant monster that is turned to stone outside Numara, and we saw that optional cutscene where Ming was having trauma flashbacks about it. So
she
a little
gets
bit of connection
non-trauma flashbacks about it in a sec. So
they explain this in a second, but
one thing I love about this game is those, when we missed those, they seemed so important, but the game finds a way to reiterate it and like tell the kids or tell Jansen or something that is telling the people who didn't find the optional stuff in a way that doesn't suck. Like, Expedition sucks in every fucking game, and they found a way to make it not here. And so, like,
and for me, who did see the cutscene, it didn't feel like I already know this. It was like, oh, I'm excited to hear the full story of this.
Yeah, and it's super cool. So so after they start blowing shit up, we cut to Mac and Cook, who are trudging along, still wearing their "We Live in a Tropical Paradise" clothes in the middle of this.
Not just for this.
They're not dressed for this at all.
So I like that in this case there's a reason, because like they weren't expecting to have their train crash.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, like canonically speaking, they're not dressed for this. It's not just that they didn't want to have it as a character model. That's cute.
Yeah. There was no excuse when we went through the ice cave last week, but here
Of course, yeah.
there's the actual. They actually hung a lantern on it, so they're like basically dying from all of the cold.
It's really dire. They're in a very dire situation.
Yeah, and so Mac keeps like lagging behind, and Cook is like, "Come on, stay with me." And then he like trips, and in like situations like that, the moment you trip, like you can't get back up, and so he just like collapses into the snow. And Cook is like, "No, come on," and like tries to get him up, and it's so it fades out shortly after that, and we cut to Jansen and Ming, who are in like busted out ruins of a place, obviously Goza. And
hold on, let's hype this up more. Then it cuts to the best cutscene in the video game.
Yes, it does. All of the Jansen and Ming cutscenes are the best cutscenes in the video game.
It's a shame Eli's missing this week of all weeks, because this is the best Jansen report of all time.
We'll let him have this as his memorable moment next week too. But so we are cutting through the this old ruins, and then the pop song kicks on. And so first off, we see that Jansen isn't wearing greaves like a normal JRPG. He's wearing like Vans and leg warmers because he's a fucking weirdo, and it's awesome. I always thought they were greaves, but now we get a close up and they're two separate things that are the same color. It's fucking weird. Jansen is
He's
weird.
a weirdo.
But so then
I think I somehow haven't said this for the last like 5 pods. I love his scarf. He's got the best scarf in the world.
He has a great scarf. He has a really good like character design overall. But
also, whenever they get close-ups of his face, you realize, oh, he's like really feminine. Actually,
yeah,
he's got these like long like lashes and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like even his like his lips almost look like they have lipsticks on them, like very defined lips. Yeah, it's very cool.
But so he's walking around these ruins, and the pop song kicks in, and it seems like a pop song that would have been old hat to include in Final Fantasy VI, but it's here anyways, and it's great. And so then Jansen comes back into their little cave where they were, and it turns out that he was singing the song. Like it's not his voice, but like so it's like diegetically we were hearing the pop song, and then it fades to diegetically that was just Jansen singing to himself, and he doesn't know the words apparently because Maddie knows the song from the soundtrack. And
there's a certain part where the lyrics are like, it's like, and I feel something, and he's like, and I feel like a cool guy.
That's awesome.
Actually, I'll look that up before we get to MM.
Yeah, but so he's singing, and then Ming wakes up and he's like, "Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to wake you up." And she's like, "No, but I had a dream you were singing. Were you singing?" And he's like, I guess." And he's like, "What's the matter?" And she's like, "Nothing. I was just remembering something." And he's like, "Wait, you remember?" She's like, "Yeah, I remembered everything because Gongora couldn't break me, so he made me seal off my own memories so that I would stop and if I sealed off my own memories, he would stop fucking up Numara with these robots that we just saw." And it's like, "Oh, that's cool." There was my piecing the two together, which was cool. But then they have a super cute scene together, and as that's happening, we cut to Ming's memory where we saw them fighting, blah 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 blah, and I think that's it for that first night, and then it cuts to the next day.
Basically, what happens is this is kind of I'll just finish up the story. Yeah, so you get the flashback where you realize what you just said, where it's a really long cutscene actually, where she's like, oh, they're killing all my people, and Gongora's like, the only way you can stop this, he's like, I'm an evil villain. The only way you can stop this from happening is if you erase your memories. And then she does it. Immediately after she does it, she's like, who are you? Who am I? And Gongora's like, good job, Your Majesty the Queen. You defeated the monster. I am your friend, Gongora. This is a terrible thing that has just happened. You're the queen. And she's like, oh, thanks. Which is fucked up. But anyway, afterwards, no, the important part of this scene is that, well, obviously Jansen and Ming are having very much a moment, right? And Ming says that she got her memory back. She thinks she broke the seal because of the extreme amount of magical energy that she had to expend to save Jansen. Yeah. And then she's like, so really, it's almost like, thanks to you, I have memory back. And Jansen's like, oh, yeah, no big deal, All I did really was just sit there and let you rescue me. But it is explicitly said, like, she feels gratitude. Like, if it wasn't for her connection with Jansen, if it wasn't for the situation they're in, she wouldn't have gotten memories back. Frankly, I'm surprised they didn't just start snogging right here.
They probably should have. But
I get it. They're in a dire situation. But, look, just because you're freezing and almost dead and you don't know if any of your friends are alive and war just broke out and you're terrified, doesn't mean you're not still horny.
Yeah.
Let's be serious here. They were feeling it. They should have started smooching. Whatever.
But, so then it cuts to the next morning. And you wake up as playing as Jansen, and Ming is nowhere to be found. But it's just because she's outside, enjoying her morning paper and coffee on the porch type thing. She's feeling it, Mr. Krabs. And so Jansen's like, well, what do you want to do? And she's like, well, let's go find Chaim and Sarah. They're immortal. They're probably alive. The kids are probably dead, but they're probably alive. So let's go and find them. And so we then have a little icy dungeon through the ruins of Gotza, and it was really cool because you didn't have a front line. You
again,
just...
the game's like, there's no way we could make this hard. That would be unfair. Jansen and Ming are bullshit. We'll make it real easy for you.
Yeah, it was super easy, but it felt really cool at the same time because it's like, oh, this is really easy because I have all of my spells. And so it felt like in a Persona where you're like, oh, I'm going to every single time use the correct magic because why would I ever not? And so you're constantly doing that for everybody, and it was really cool.
There was a little bit of a weirdness to it because spells take longer to charge. So it was like, hey, for this dungeon, I hope you like always going last every round.
Yeah.
Which did cause a little bit. You had to use your brain a little bit. It was cool.
But them being separated did mean that Ming is the only person that has learned my 2 accessory slots because Jansen only just now learned it for me. So that was cool. But
Ming didn't have that for me yet. She was still in the process of learning it. She's the only one who didn't, I think.
But after we make our way through everything, we make our way back to Gotza proper, and I was prepared for all the NPCs to be like Legend of Dragoon when the ice monster came and fucked up the ice town and everyone was falling apart and cold. All the NPCs were like, God, it's fucking cold. I hope we get some action. And here, everyone's still just an asshole. And they're like, yeah, we don't sell to people who aren't in Gotza. If you go up to the shop. I figured the shop of all places would now be like, oh, hey, we're desperate to stay alive.
I know,
here's some
right?
stuff.
Or hey, now that the world is falling apart, we're all in this together. Let's put aside our hatreds. That does happen a little later, but not here.
Not here at all. The people that stayed in town are just ignoring the nukes around them.
They're just like, maybe they didn't even notice. I mean, they just live in the slums. Their life sucks, right? So to them, they're just like, man, it's even colder than usual, huh?
Right. So,
wait, they're like another. Wait, they're like. Another freezer, huh? And then the wife's like, they say tomorrow's gonna be even colder.
Yeah. And so this place that had a a Kent man blocking it off before is now open, and we can walk out onto the train tracks. And Jansen and Ming, somehow Ming is dressed for the weather, and she's literally not wearing any clothes. But Jansen definitely is dressed for the warmth, so he doesn't walk like he's about to die. And you can go and explore the train tracks, and you get to a part where there's a big wreckage, and there you see Mac and Cook because you played for them for like half a second earlier, and they collapsed. Both of them did out of exhaustion, and so then as Jansen and Ming, you get up to where they are, and you wake them up with Lyram's magic again, because souls are incredibly real and Lyram's is incredibly magic. And so right before they can have a happy moment at all, a ice boss shows up, and you use a lot of magic and you take them down pretty easy. Maddie, you said you had a hard time with this big ice monster?
No.
Oh, because I remember you even texted me. You were like, man, this ice monster is hard.
Wait, what happened to this ice monster? What does he even do?
He's not the second one that has Kaim and Sarah trapped in ice. He's the first one, but...
No, the thing that was super hard for me was the entire fucking dungeon in a little while. That was what's kicking my ass. Maybe if this kicked my ass, I must have
forgotten it because the other one kicked your ass more.
No. I wasn't. It wasn't that tough, but I was annoyed I don't remember. I have no idea. I don't remember things that happened yesterday.
I'm trying to see. I scrolled back up to see what you did, but because they killed everyone except Mac, and so Mac killed him on the same round, and only Mac got experience.
Mac. Yeah. I was annoyed because he does do. I beat him on my first try, but he does do some heavy damage. So on the last round, it was like he killed everyone. Like normally, if he kills everyone, what do? You hunker down, you wait for your immortal to come back, and then you revive everyone. But I had already said, Mac, hit the boss. So on the same turn as the boss killed everyone, before I could change my strategy, Mac killed the boss.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, well, now Mac gets all the XP. God damn it.
Yeah. That is basically how I did every random mob here out for the disc, except only Mac died. So it's like, all right, Mac died, but he needs experience too. So next turn, I'm going to heal him. And then Cook is just like, oh, hey, my fire all is ready. Do you want me to kill everybody for you? And I'm like, no. God damn it, Cook.
Yeah, no, that would happen a lot because, again, spells go last. So it's like that Aquara that I had queued up hits. But, like, no, for the fucking next dungeon, what will keep happening is Jansen, because Jansen was lagging behind experience-wise. Because of that, enemies kept... He doesn't have a lot of HP, but he's in the front row, so there was one enemy that could, like, one-shot him, or, like, close to one-shot him. So he would die, I would queue up an attack, and I would also queue up an Angel's Plume to revive him. What happens is, first turn, someone revives him. Second turn, enemy kills him again. Third turn, Ming kills the enemy with Aquara.
Yep.
That happened like 5 times, and I was so annoyed.
Yeah. But back after we kill the boss, Mac is like, oh, hey, our grandparents died to save us, and it was real sad. And Jansen is like, they're immortal. They can't be dead. They're probably around somewhere. And Mac is like, no, Sarah even said, there's too much magic. I don't think I can come back from this. I think we're both dead. And Jansen is like, I'm trying to cheer you up. They're alive somewhere. So Ming then makes it worse. It's like, well, even if they survived, it probably hurts because you can still feel pain. And it's like, oh, well, great. So even if they're probably in agony, crushed under a giant ice UFO, awesome. Let's go find them.
Yeah, I actually did like this explanation because it's almost like if you die in the game, you die in real life thing. She's like, yeah they're immortal, but maybe the physical pain caused them such intense psychological trauma that it, like, destroyed their soul. And not destroyed their soul in a we lost our memories kind of way from earlier in the plot, but like literally they died, like literally, because like in the Matrix, like your brain dies, right? It's like, no, maybe so basically they're introducing a sort of gimmicky way to say maybe they actually did die after all.
Yeah, and it's really cool. But they decide to go and find them. So then we cut back to Ura, and we have a really cool puzzle dungeon in the sewers. It's the first like sewer dungeon I've actually liked because it's built like a Mario level.
It's super good. It's bizarre. I'm like, oh, sewer dungeon, and then halfway through, I'm like, no, this is really good.
Yeah, it's like built like a Mario dungeon in the. It has a main gimmick that it teaches you, and then it teaches you a second gimmick, and then it puts the two gimmicks together at the end. And it's
one thing I liked
really
is how
good.
the first time you have to do the water raising and lowering thing, it's to get an optional item.
Yeah.
And then later you have to do it to advance in the dungeon.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's cool. So the way it works is you actually have to use thinking about water physics. There's like multiple dams. Mm-hmm. So the very first one's the coolest. There's like 3 dams. Obviously, if you open the dam in the direction of where the water's coming from, that makes the whole area fill up with water. Mm-hmm. But then say you open the final dam, well, then the area all drains, right? Or if all 3 are open, then the water just flows freely. Mm-hmm. So, but the thing is, you want to get the water not all the way down, because you can't get down to the, but only mostly down. So what you want to do is you want to open all the dams in the middle, but not the last one or first one. Basically, you fill up the first dam, the first thing with water, and then you dilute it among the 3 segments.
Yeah.
So that now each dam has a third of the water. And I'm like, wow, I really had to think about that. That's cool.
Yeah. And then later there's like the finding the way to go. You have to rotate the room 1 time, but there's like 8 different places you can put the room when you rotate it. So there's so many chests, and it's so rewarding for exploration in there. And it was
also this dungeon is like
good.
This dungeon is like full of Dark Soul loop arounds too.
Yeah.
Like 50 of them. Like every single time you go any direction, it's like,
yeah,
and here's a gate to get back to where you were earlier.
Yeah, even though there's not a town on the other side, so I don't know why they would do that.
Well, here's the thing. That all made it easier to get back to the save point. And even though they kept making it easy to get back to the save point, which normally would make me think I should probably go save if they're making it this easy to go back to the save point. I'm stupid and didn't because I was a lazy baby, and I run headlong into a cutscene, and then I'm thinking, oh god, oh god, oh god, oh god, oh god, oh god, I haven't saved in a fucking hour. There better not be an actual boss. And there wasn't. There was a bunch of gimmicky
Have you
bullshit.
died this playthrough yet? Ever?
Oh, yeah.
Because this game has background autosaves, which is awesome. If you die, it says, do you want to restart from your last checkpoint? And it's not always the last place you saved.
Okay, so every time that it's happened to me, it has been the last save point.
Yeah, so if you do a last save point, and that's more recent than the autosave, it'll load you from that save point. But for instance, I got randomly killed by a random mob on my way to go and get Cook and Mac, and I was like a foot away from the save point. So I died, and it brought me back after the last cutscene there at the beginning of the thing.
Yeah,
so
I guess every time I've died has been... every time I've died, the closest checkpoint just has been the save point.
Yeah.
But in the following dungeon, it was still like 30 minutes worth of exploration, but it's like nothing had happened, so it hadn't made a checkpoint.
Yeah.
Interesting.
The checkpoints are like cutscene checkpoints, which is really cool.
So I guess I was scared for no reason. But the point is, I was like, normally I like when there's real bosses, and when there's a dumb gimmick plot boss, I'm not as invested. But when it turns out this next boss is a gimmick plot boss, I was like, oh, thank God.
Right.
Because I'm not prepared for an actual boss right now, and I don't want to lose an hour of progress.
Yeah. So, by the way, as we've been going through the thing, Ced has just said line after line that makes him the best character. He also...
Oh, yeah. So Ced's amazing, and in battle, he's amazing.
Yeah, he has a ranged physical attack, so he can hit full from the back row, which is a thing that happened a lot in the Final Fantasies that this is aping, but it hasn't ever happened here. It's like, oh, you fight with a sword, you're in the front row. Our back row is only for casters. But now Ced can hang out in the back row and still attack physically, and it's super awesome.
Also, his weapon is, instead of a gun blade, where it's like a one-handed sword that's got like a normal pistol kind of revolver on it, it is a rifle axe.
It is a sniper rifle axe. It has a scope, and he aims like super far away at things. He's badass.
So it's a giant fucking... The funny thing is, though, because it's an axe, it's got this big axe blade, you know what it honestly looks like?
What?
It looks like a fucking keyblade.
It does.
In so many shots, I'm like, is that a fucking keyblade? Also, he hasn't not actually used the axe.
Yeah.
Although I
think he'll probably use it for like counter and stuff like that because he comes to counter naturally, but he's on the back row.
I also bet if he used like power hit or something, you know, like those moves. I bet if he used like power hit or combo hit, I bet that would use the axe probably. Yeah. But yeah, he's awesome. Actually, so is Tolton. Real quick, a while back we saw these weird big monolith looking things, and I said, "Oh, those will be important later. It's an optional thing for later." Yeah. Well, now it's later. Turns out, you find this out once you're Tolton. Turns out that these are like, royal insignia shrines containing like royal treasures. So basically, only Tolton can open them. Yeah. And so that's one of our side quests is now go back everywhere where we saw one of these monoliths and get Tolton's thing. And so far it's panned out because the first one you get
it raised Tolton's attack by 87 over the sword he starts with.
Every time you get a special treasure weapon in this game, it's only like slightly better than whatever's at the next town. Not here. No. Tolton was doing significantly more damage than anybody else in my party for this whole dungeon. He was doing like 1,200 fucking damage. Yeah. Also, at this point, now that you have the level 2 rings, getting the timing right makes it important. Huge. Yeah. We're talking literally the difference between 500 damage and 900 damage.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Or for Tolton, 600 and 1,200.
Yeah.
And it affects your strategy. Whenever you pick what enemies you want to hit, you're thinking, I want to, like, is this going to be good if I hit all my perfects? Or is this going to be good if I don't hit my perfects?
Yeah. So, yeah, our new party members own also said comes with, like,
oh my god,
all the cheating.
SP times 2.
Yeah, it has SP times 2, which is ridiculous. Do you know if that stacks or not?
No, none of them stack. Okay. Although why would it? Wait, what do you mean? Why would it stack?
Because Seth now knows it. If Seth and Seth are both in.
Oh no, I think it only applies to a single character.
No, it's the XP. It's received in battle. Like they were getting like 16 a time because
that explains why she learned it so fast.
Yeah, Sed himself doesn't get any skills. So
of course that would make any sense. It probably doesn't stack because I've noticed that like if you have an ability that comes from a party member, but then you also equip that item, it doesn't stack. So I would guess it doesn't. Because that'd be like if you have 4 immortals in your party, that'd be times 16.
Yeah,
which would be insane. But just double is crazy because it takes 100 SP to learn that, and you learn it pretty quick.
Yeah, it's ridiculously cool. But he also has just naturally starts the battle with shield and barricade on. If he's in your party, you have double the chance to get a rare item, and you get twice the amount of items that normally drop. And so it's just like,
and double gold. Double XP, too bad, but double everything else.
I'm just like, oh, Sed's never leaving my party. He has now replaced Jansen as my default mortal.
This dungeon's cool because it was all physical. Like, I don't think I cast a single spell in combat. Like, I had one of my characters with a magic item equipped just in case, but like...
I did for the boss, because...
Oh, yeah, you had to for the boss. In fact, I didn't have anything equipped, so in the boss battle, I had to go and equip accessories so that they would know magic spells.
Me too.
But yeah, it was funny how exciting and interesting the dungeon was, considering every battle was just physical attacks. But still, it's like, this enemy has 900 health. If I attack it and I don't get the perfect timing, it'll do 500. If I get the perfect timing, it'll do 1,000. Yeah. The worst thing you want to do is have Seth do 500 damage to one enemy, then have Sed do 1,000 damage to that same enemy, because that's a waste. Obviously, Sed would have killed that enemy on his own. You just wasted Seth's attack. Yeah. So you have Seth and Sed attack different enemies. Hopefully they both do for 1,000, so they're both dead. And then you, meanwhile, since Tolton goes last, you already go ahead and just have him hit the back row, assuming that the GC will be down by the time he gets there. Really, really interesting, actually. Really had a good time, even though I was literally just hitting attack every turn.
Yeah. So the boss, there's a crane next to it, a la the beginning of Final Fantasy X. So
we've all been here. Come on.
So you have to charge the crane with magic by casting magic or shooting it. So I did that, and you beat the shit out of the boss, and you're like, this is awesome. And then you see over its shoulder, now that it's dead, it was guarding Ced's spaceship. Really, it's the airship of the game, but like it's a goddamn spaceship. It is the most futuristic looking thing in this entire goddamn game by a lot.
Called the Nautilus.
So we jump on the Nautilus, and the creepy monsters are following us. So we have a quick time event cutscene that says it's a mini game, but it is a cutscene.
It is piddly easy. It is the first of two. Of boat related mini games. That's why I wasn't sure, because there's a later one. And I was like, oh, are we there already? This isn't a very interesting thing. It's pretty boring. But what I like though is that you can tell. I think it was very clearly Uematsu was thinking of the minecart escape from FF6.
Yeah.
Like, definitely a modern technology riff on that, which is cool. And hey, it was at least better than that, because that was some dumb. It was like, hey, watch your screen. It's a bunch of pixels that don't make any sense, and then you have some battles.
Yeah. But so then after they escape, there's a really cool scene where like they're headed towards a wall, and Tolton's like, oh no, we're going to crash. And Ced is like, where we're going, we don't need water. And he just rises up and flies out, and it's super fucking cool. But the Nautilus reminds me of a Covenant dropship. Like,
that's what it looks like.
Watching Halo and then playing this right after each other, I could not unsee.
I gotta say, I don't think it's actually flying. I'm pretty sure they just jumped real high. Like, they just, because remember, after that they land. Remember, they land in the water after this.
I don't remember them landing, and they both definitely do. And they both use the verb, we can fly. This thing can fly. We're going to fly.
Right. It hasn't been. You definitely land. If it can fly, it was not shown in this cutscene. So it definitely was like.
No, they definitely fly, and then they probably landed so that they don't draw attention to themselves flying away from the capital.
There's an FMV where it crests and then goes back down.
The FMV, they jump out of the city, and they go away from the city and land back in the water. They fly, my bro.
No, they just jumped real high, and then they get to the top of the jump, and then they go back down.
Like, maybe this isn't your airship, and that's clouding your vision, but they use the word fly, and they...
No, I know they use the word fly, but you know who else said the word fly? Buzz Lightyear.
Yeah, but I'm saying there's nothing in here that makes it sound like they didn't fly up, and maybe it's a short-range flyer, but I don't think it was a jump out of the water.
Okay. Also, I don't remember if this is actually an airship or not, so, that's fine.
Yeah, they definitely, like, move around in the air, as a plane before they go and land.
Falling with style, Sam. Falling with style.
Anywho.
Well, jumping with... Well, if they jump, then I find that very clever, because earlier we had a different boat, and the boat could jump, and we commented on the fact that it's funny that it's awesome that you can jump, but it serves no purpose. Mm-hmm. So if this was in fact a boat jump, which, okay, maybe it wasn't, then I find that cute, because it's like, oh yeah, boats can just jump in this world. Yeah. And here we are in a cutscene actually using the boat jump, even though in gameplay it's never important.
Yes. But we cut back to Jansen and Ming and the kids on the railroad tracks, and they're like, conveniently, there's a ladder right here, so let's go down and look for Kaim and Sarah, because we've walked this whole track now from opposite directions, so we never saw them. So we make our way down, and we come to a Goatsen refugee camp where all the nice people from Goatsen are, and
yep.
they're all super nice to you. There's apparently side quests that I didn't find. The IGN guy is just talking about them. But I just saved, and then... no, I remember the side quest. I just decided to not do it because it sounded boring. But because there's a monster that will keep calling backup, which is the one that killed Jansen and Ming, which is why I was like, no, fuck you, I'm not going to do that on purpose. So if you let it keep calling backup, eventually it'll call like a big one, and so the guy wants you to kill the big one. And I'm like, not going to happen. I'm not going to go do that.
See, I thought that this side quest was going to be in the next dungeon, so I just went to the next dungeon. Turns out you have to backtrack to the previous dungeon, so yeah, I didn't do it either.
So we make our way and we find the wreckage of the train, and they can't find Chaim and Sarah anywhere, and they're like, well, they died, and they're like, bodies exist. We should be able to at least find their bodies. Since we can't find their bodies, there's still hope. And we find this big-ass hole right off where the train crashed, and they're like, they probably fell down the hole. There's no way we can get down it, and so there's probably no way they can get up it. They're probably down there waiting on us. So we find a cave nearby, and like, it looks like this will maybe get us under there. Let's go and explore and see if we can find them. So we make our way through the Burning Cave, which is a really cool dungeon that I really liked, and Maddie had a lot more trouble than I did.
But the mobs, I like the design of it, but it's long, and the mobs are the mobs are just kicking my ass. Every single mob was just kicking my goddamn ass. I think I game overed like 3 times.
Wow.
But then I learned that if you just run from certain mobs, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, also, your turntail shoes don't even work 100% of the time.
Yeah, they do.
No, they fucking not anymore. They goddamn don't.
That's weird.
I was equipping them whenever I got into a dire situation, and sometimes they would fail on the first try.
Weird.
Absolutely.
Jansen's in your party, so you don't need to. You just use Jansen. Jansen just has the skill.
He doesn't get it first time.
Are you doing run, or are you using Turntail, the skill?
Huh?
Are you using the skill Turntail, or are you running?
Oh my god, it's a skill?
It's a skill. That's why it works 100% of the time.
I thought that if you just had the thing equipped, then your flee always worked.
You've gotten incredibly lucky because the escape chance is like 0 in this game. Like, I've never escaped without Turntail.
Up until this dungeon, if I equipped the Turntail shoes, the flee always worked. I swear to God.
That's amazing.
Because I would have noticed if it didn't, because I did notice when it didn't this time.
Yeah.
Like,
so
what would
funny.
happen is, what has happened is I would equip the Turntail shoes on, say, Jansen, but then I would tell everyone in my party to flee, and it'd be like, Ming, flee failed. Chaim, flee failed. Mac, flee failed. Jansen, he fleed successfully wearing the Turntail shoes, right?
That's so funny.
Oh my fucking God.
It's just the skill.
Well, looks like I'm the one who, for this game, misunderstood a very simplistic part of the game's mechanics for majority of the game's runtime. It's me.
Yeah, it's usually
somebody.
This archetype is usually a skill in JRPGs. Like, it's almost never not a skill.
Well, not exactly. I mean, in the original Final Fantasy 1, the thief's thing was choosing run worked more often.
Yeah, but that's Final Fantasy 1. There have been a lot more RPGs in which you get
I never thought to go to this.
In the game that
this
is the most like, according to Maddie Webben, this game is a ripoff of Final Fantasy X, in which Riku has a skill that she uses to flee flee battles.
That is true. Although, in my defense, I never used Riku.
That's so funny.
No, that makes total sense. I was just like, I would literally just equip the thing and then hit flee and be like, cool, done. And again, up until now, it worked.
That's so funny because if I am not using Turntail, I cannot flee. So if I want to leave a battle, I equip the Turntail shoes and I use it on Seth because I don't even want to wait through for somewhere that has a lower initiative. I want it to go right away.
I had a couple battles in this dungeon where it's like I hit flee, but they were all fleeing, and all 5 of the enemies got to go first, and they're all hitting me, and I'm like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god.
Yeah,
and then the flee failed, and I'm like trying to flee again, and I'm like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god.
Yeah, so you make your way through the dungeon, and you find Chaim and Sarah trapped in a block of ice, and you're like, well, how the hell do we get out? And Ming is like, this isn't normal ice, this is advanced ice, it's magic, and there's somebody like using magic on it nearby. I wonder who could that. Oh shit, it's a boss. And And so we face the boss, and the boss is bullshit, but they know that it's bullshit, and so they make it not as bullshit. You have a party of all casters and a moderate physical attacker who's mostly a caster, and the boss is immune to all magic. He has a permanent reflect on, so you then
which they don't tell you.
They don't tell you. You figure this out after lining up all of your best spells to go off in one turn, and you get your ass kicked. But
so Sam, you had told me this happened, but I still figured like on his first turn he would use the reflect.
Nope.
So my first turn, I lined up a bunch of status spells. And they all reflected on back to my own party.
Yeah. So what you need to do is use your 3 casters to keep healing Mac to keep his GC up so that he can defend the party while he's just waylaying every turn. And so I put the spirit magic equipment on Jansen because Jansen only learns like 3 white magic spells. It's like only go up to level 2. So he wasn't doing enough healing. So I equipped the level 5 spirit magic so that he was doing like shield and damage up and all of that stuff to Mac. And then Cook and Ming, the first turn I made Ming use heal or barricade or something that just took 1 turn, and set Cook onto Zephyra, which would take 2 turns. And then every turn after that, I would just start them on Zephyra. So I just had a full party heal every turn.
Having Cook on perma Zephyra is always a smart move.
Yeah.
How much was your Mac doing?
So I equipped a planet ring, which is the one that's damage up plus critical up plus Earth level 2, and
all level 2.
And he all of them were level 2.
Yeah,
and
I was just
he also had he also had used Power Us from Jansen. So after all of that was set up, he was doing 1,600 every turn on a perfect.
So that's the thing. You were saying one reason this boss is a little bullshit is because of you having all casters and a medium hitter. Not just this dungeon, but even in previous dungeons, I've always considered Mac to be a pretty fucking good hitter. Like only a little bit, maybe a little bit under time and Seth, but not much. Anyway,
I think me thinking he's moderate comes from the when he joined your party 10 levels under, and so he was doing nothing damage. He since has caught up, and I think of him as not as good because of the first impression.
Right. So once I got him all the way up, and this boss has like 12,000 health. Once I got him all the way up, I think his maximum was, I think at one point he did 2,800.
Nice.
He was I was like, holy shit, Mac, you are a monster, actually. Yeah. Because also in the dungeon, there's an optional item that you have to go through poison to get. There's your first attack up skill in the game. So I had that accessory on him. Yeah, now he was doing, I think, 2,800 damage. Fun fact, though, at some point it became the case that Jansen didn't have anything to do, just because the boss didn't have anything to steal, and Jansen's spells, like, he'd already done the buffs and stuff. He didn't have anything to do, so I was like, you know what, I'll have him hit. He's not the worst hitter in the world. He actually does a couple hundred, maybe, 200 or 300. Anyway, turns out the second time I had him doing that, I completely missed the ring. I think I got distracted by my phone or something. So Jansen did like 70 damage, and that killed the boss.
That's amazing.
Good job, Jansen.
That's like, it reminds me in Mortal Kombat when you kill somebody and it's ready for the fatality, but I can never remember a super long combo. So I always just go and do like a weak punch to do the last. It's
always
HP.
So disappointing. You're like, oh boy, time to do the fatality, and then your guy's just like, bam, and you hit him. And you're like, oh, okay.
But yeah, so the monster falls, and the ice around Chaim and Sarah shatters, but they're not getting up. So Cook and Mac use Liram's magic to do the sibling healing spell, which should be an in-battle spell because it's awesome, but unfortunately it's not.
If only this game had dual techs, right?
Yeah. And so then we heal Chaim and Sarah, and there's some great things that'll come up in memorable moments from there. But then we're like, okay, well, what the fuck do? We then are scared by this giant robot that comes out of the water, except it's just Zed and Seth and Tolton.
They're like, hi.
Yeah, and they're like, let's get the fuck out of here. And we're like, awesome. And then they're like, all right, we all know that we need to stop Gongora, so we're going to do that. And Ming is like, and we have a secret weapon because I have all of my memories back. So let's go fuck his life up. And then it asks us to change the disc.
That's it. Yep.
And it's great. So yeah,
so now we're at the end of like 8 straight hours of split party.
Yeah.
Which, again, is, I think, my favorite part of the entire game. I think it's fucking virtuosic.
Yeah, it's really good. But, yeah, so now let's listen to a guitar version of that pop song, because
hell yeah.
It's really... So the guitar version of the pop song played actually in this cutscene, which is why I set them apart like that. And it's so good, man. Love that fucking guitar version.
The specific, like, way the guitarist plays, it's very well played.
Yeah, it's real good. So listen to it now. All right, so memorable moments. So the one I just remembered was when Chaim wakes up. Jansen runs over to him to shake him awake, and the first words out of Chaim's mouth is, "Jansen, you're spitting in my face."
And Jansen's like, "Oh, I love it. Thank you, Chaim. You're dunking on me just like old times."
Yeah, it's good.
Love you, buddy.
I love that. What are some other ones you had?
One little one. So both Mac and Cook, and then later Jansen and Ming go on the snow-covered trail, right? Mm-hmm. First of all, I love how train-centric this disc is. Not only do you have an amazing train sequence, you then have walking on train tracks sequences, and I love walking on train tracks. Both
especially when this one has a treasure chest every 5 feet.
Right. So that's what I was about to get to. So when you're playing as Cook and Mac, you're walking, right? You're just you're walking very slowly. The wind is blowing. It's dire, right? And you're slowly pushing forward. And on the left, every 30 meters maybe is a little box, and you can tell this is part of the train tracks design. It's part of its industrial design, just like how a subway train will have maintenance doors every so distance. So anyway, those are all chests that get you items, which is nice. So they're all on the left, and then on the right are these towers, and one of the towers has a save point. And they never tell you what direction you're going. It's kind of weird, actually. They don't say we're going back to Gotsa, or we're going in the direction of our mom and dad. I'm not saying the characters don't know, they just forget to tell the player what the characters are doing. So you're going in one direction. Later, when you're Jansen and Ming, you're on the same snow-covered trail, and all of a sudden, those maintenance boxes are on the right, and all the towers are on the left. And so just with that design, you're like, oh, this is the same train. We're going going towards each other.
Yeah.
Which is so cool. And then, in fact, the second tower, when you're about to get to Cook and Mac, you see the save point that you just saved at earlier with Cook and Mac.
Yeah.
So it's just really, really cool. Also, they are doing a lot of abbreviated geography here. Obviously, they were on a train that was going fast for a long time. So sort of metaphorically speaking, you didn't literally just walk 200 meters. You went along the entire train track, right? Yeah. In between cutscenes. But that's all really cool. I really love that. What's something else you got, Sam?
So Ced is amazing, and so I feel Ced a lot. I understand him, because I'm an old ass man who I have never called my mom. I've never called her Karen, of course. She's been mommy like my whole life. She will always be mommy. Why would I call her anything else? And so here's this old ass man always calling Seth mama. And Tolton even is like, could you not? Like, she looks 20 and you look 100. Can you not call her mama? And he's like, shut up. She's my mama. I'm going to call her mama. And it's great. I love him. But he's also wearing Jinkos because he's the best old man ever. He's wearing big ass skater shorts with flames embroidered in them because why the fuck not? He's great.
Yeah, he's great. I'll share something. I also love all the work. They do great work with Tolton and the whole Seth Tolton Ced section. Okay, first of all, Ced is so much a Sid, it's not even funny.
Yeah.
His secondary plot ability is even being a mechanic.
Yeah.
In that dungeon, he like fixes magic energy engines that are leaking, which makes the enemies in the dungeon less strong or lowers the encounter rate, whatever. I don't know. I always did it. So it's like, wait, you literally you shoot guns, you pilot an airship, and you can fix things with your range. You're just Sid. And you're crotchety. And like half the Sids are crotchety.
Yeah.
It's really, really funny how he's just, and like, I feel like it's almost like a joke by Sakaguchi. He's just like, you know who the fuck it is.
Yeah.
And it's not like the name Sid is copyrighted, so it's not like he couldn't have just named him Sid, but he's like, no, this is Ced.
Yeah.
I love it. Anywho.
His voice actor is also phenomenal. He reminds me of Danny DeVito's Philoctetes from Hercules, but not
I
quite.
actually feel like I recognize him. I might look up in a second who he is, but yeah, he's very good. Anyway, this whole section though is like they got so much banter, like so much characters bouncing off each other. Like Tolton is played off as naive, ignorant, cowardly, even though he's pretty damn good in combat. It's like you are intelligent, and it's like he is. You know, he grew up with a silver spoon in his mouth, which Ced even says at one point. But like he obviously has received training. You know, he's received education, martial arts training. Like he is technically very proficient. He's smart. He's got guts, and he can fight good, and he's resourceful. But he has no real world experience. So he's treated as just being a dummy, a doof. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of scenes about that, with Ced kind of belittling him, but then Seth kind of being like, you can tell that Seth sees there's potential there. So Seth is like, we need this guy as our ally. You know, she's almost like trying to help him. And then at the end of their big adventures, in fact, Seth even does one or two like pep talks on Tolkien, like, no, you can do it. It's going to be okay, you know? Anyway, then at the end of the adventure, Tolton actually gives a little speech about how he's so inspired by Seth and Ced specifically, and he wants to be brave like Ced, and he wants to do the right thing. And at that point, he's totally in the party. And then later, when they meet back up with the rest of the party, everyone's like, what the fuck is Tolton doing here? And both Seth and Ced are like, nah, he's cool. Like, this guy's good now.
Yeah.
I like it a lot.
I love him. He had a great thing. So, where is... Well, I was hoping behind the voice actors would pop up. There it is. So, Michael Bell is the voice of Ced, and he has played, scrolling through to find something that we would recognize. He's done a lot, but it's all like smaller bits. So he's Chucky's dad in Rugrats.
I don't even remember what. Oh wait, yeah, I do. He's that yeah, whatever. Yeah, whatever means nothing to me.
So in Metal Gear Solid 2: Sons of Liberty, he voices all of the Gorlikovich soldiers. So that might be what you recognize him from. But other than that,
I think he just sounds like another voice actor.
The reason I probably recognized him is because for Halloween, me and Scarlett watched Alvin and the Chipmunks meet Dr. Frankenstein, and he played Dr. Frankenstein. So it was probably recently in my brain. But yeah, he's done a bunch of parts. He's definitely like a character actor. Oh, he's most of the people in Rugrats. I got to the Rugrats section, and he's basically every goddamn person. But yeah, he's great. He did a real damn good job. But yeah, did you have any other memorable moments?
There are a few. Oh, right. I want to briefly talk. I guess two more brief things. One is when you first meet Seth. Sorry. There's a really cute little music thing, and again, I come from as someone who has listened to the soundtrack quite a bit. This game technically does have a few character themes. Seth has a character theme. It's a beautiful Uematsu style theme, but it's not deployed in typical Uematsu manner. If this game was being directed the way that FF6 is directed, then like every time Seth does something, it would play her fucking song, right?
Yeah.
But it doesn't. So I think you maybe have heard it at one point at this point in the game. Anyway, so you got this exciting music happening. It's tense. There's hero fighting. Everything's scary. It's intense. The second Seth turns around and yells, "Mama," and sees Seth, the music just hard smash cuts to Seth's theme. And it's not even actually the beginning of it. It's like a little bit ways into the A part because it just needed to match the emotional climax of the scene. Yeah. And he runs up to her and he sings, and he says, "Mama," but the song plays for maybe like 10 seconds.
Yeah.
And then as soon as he hugs Seth, it turns into humor, and Tolton's like, "What the fuck?" And it immediately smash cuts, or actually it seems almost seamless, transitions into the jokey goofing around scene song. Yeah. So I love that. It's like excitement and intensity, beautiful 15-second long section of huge emotion, and then bam, now we're in Honktown Clown Around. It's great.
Yeah. It's so good.
Masterful use of Uematsu. And then the other thing is with Memorable Moments, I looked up the lyrics that was for the song. So the pre-chorus is something like, she's like, "I thought I would be much stronger than I am," or something like that. And I believe at this point, Jansen is like, "I thought I was something so cool." So instead of stronger, he's like, "I would be real cool." And he's also singing it like off pitch, like not with the right melody. And that's cool. It's like, oh, maybe this song exists in the world's universe, and he heard it like a year ago on the radio. Yeah. Which makes it similar to Eyes on Me, which also exists canonically in the universe of Final Fantasy VIII. Yeah. Which is cute.
So were you watching RPG Limit Break when one of the people on the couch just started like humming along and it caught on and the whole room just sang along to Eyes on Me in that cutscene?
No.
It was the best thing I've ever seen happen naturally while speedrunning.
This song, unlike Eyes on Me, has lyrics that make sense in the English language.
Yeah. But
also, this song has like a modulation. It's like modulation is like the cheesiest thing that a pop song can do, and a lot of 80s and especially 90s like power ballads would do it, right? This song is like verse 1, modulation, verse 2. Haven't even gotten to the chorus yet. I'm like, holy shit, come on, that's so fucking cheesy. I love it. It's really good. It's really good.
It's so good. But yeah, so that'll do it for the week. If you want us, and by us I mean Maddie and Eli, to play Danganronpa or Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney, you can go and vote on our Ko-Fi at ko-fi.com/rpgbookclub. Everyone who donates can access that Google Forms and vote on it. It's right now, Ace Attorney is winning, but only by one vote. So if you're a Danganronpa stan, you can get in there and swing the tide. But yeah, other than that, if you want to hang out with us, you can hit us up at our website, www.rpgbook.club. Has links to all of our hootenannies, so you can find us there and come and hang out in the Discord. We didn't get new friends this week, but our old friends are still awesome, and we love each and every one of them. There's a bunch of good discussions this week, and yeah, I'm glad the Discord exists, so shout out to everybody there.
Yeah, shout out to Discord buddies. Fun fact, we are now 2 weeks ahead of schedule for Lost Odyssey.
Yeah.
Which means that your baby's going to be born 2 weeks earlier.
No, please no.
But yeah, so...
Yeah, the main reason I'm taking off early before the baby gets here is starting tomorrow, we will be on a 2-week cadence to go to the doctor, and more than likely when we get into actual December, they'll want to do a weekly cadence, and that's just 3 hours of my normally playing and a podcasting time that's taken, and I just don't want to deal with all of that. So,
yeah. Totally makes sense. Also,
Yes.
even if you could temporarily speaking deal with it, there's still the stress and psychology of it,
Yeah.
So makes total sense. So where are we playing to next week? I think that we should not try to make any last minute changes. I think that our original plan for disc 4 is probably what we should just stick with.
Yeah,
Since we've already saved 2 entire weeks.
Yeah, so here, using just the titles of the stuff on disc 4, our original to do three bits would be finishing up Numara this week, Grand Staff week after, and then Tower of Mirrors for the finale. Does that sound doable?
Maybe. Oh, actually, we originally had it as 4 weeks. Wow. Okay, that makes sense. Originally, you had it as any side quest you want and save on the world map before returning to Numara. But that might not actually be very much. In fact, I think that it is not very much. So, yeah, at some point, there's going to be a big fucking thing that happens at Numara. It's like a whole set piece shenanigans.
Yeah.
And let's say get all the way through that.
Cool.
Like, there's going to be maybe some boss battles, maybe some mini games, maybe some whatever the fuck. Just once that all is done, and you are free to not doing that anymore, save ASAP.
So save before entering or as soon after you enter Grand Staff, which is the first thing you do after the big stuff in Numara.
Oh no, you don't get I will say at this point in the game really opens up, and it really is like plot event happens. Now you're on the world map and can do side quests. Plot event happens. Now you're on the world map and can do side quests. There's actually really not a point of no return until like the literal last dungeon after what you thought was already the last dungeon.
Okay, cool.
Which isn't the Grand Staff, it's the Tower of Mirrors. So yeah. So it's like finish the shit at Numara. You're definitely not going to be immediately sent to Grand Staff and then save.
Cool. Yeah, when the little blue icon pops up on Grand Staff, save. Because that's the little on your world map, the place you're supposed to go is a blue icon. So when that blue icon moves over to Grand Staff, save.
Yeah, that works. That makes sense. That's a good way to put it. Good. Yeah, you're smart.
Yeah. So, that'll do it for the week. For RPG Book Club, I have been Sam Allman.
And I've been Maddie Webben.
Toodaloo, folks.
Bye, bitches.